welcome back, everybody. We are starting what is now my favorite part of this sponsorship summit, and that's a sponsor speed dating session. I tried it last time at the off-road racing sponsorship summit, and it was a big hit. We met several brands, and we learned real quick what they want, and if they're looking for sponsorships, so we're going to do it again. Let's cue up Bill Tishner from Holley. Bill, are you there? There he is.
I'm here if you can hear me.
I can hear you. I can see you. Looking
Sweet.
good. Nice backdrop.
Yeah.
So my number one question for you is, how many brands does Holley have? Holy crap. I can name a few like AEM, B&M, Earls, Flowmaster, Simpson, Race Pack, Holley EFI, Hooker, NOS. I mean, there's 100 of them at least, right?
Probably close to 70 by now.
Wow. That's crazy. It's
Yeah,
crazy.
it's pretty
So,
crazy.
so why do the brands sponsor? Or what series do you sponsor? Like, and how do you determine what brand goes into what series?
So some of our products are street oriented, of course, and then we have some that are more hardcore racing brands. But I'll kind of talk like more Holley, MSD today,
Okay.
so that type of racing. But we're in Holley's been in NASCAR and NHRA since forever. Our products are on most vehicles, our fuel systems, and even MSD ignition. Even our fuel injection is finding its way into a lot of racing. That's what we've worked a lot on over the last decade. Holley carburetors were, the fuel system of choice for most racing. And then our latest iteration of Holley fuel injection came around about 2010. Really good product. And I'm not just saying that because I work here, because I've worked here almost 30 years. And so I've seen all the early EFI
Yeah.
that wasn't so awesome, which is pretty hard to manage,
Yeah.
type of product, but now it's pretty intuitive. And the learning tables that it has and the reaction it can do is pretty incredible for race cars now. So we sponsor, NASCAR Trucks has our EFI, our computer's running it. ARCA was a big breakthrough for our computer. We work with Ilmor to run all of those engines. And so that would lead to a sponsorship of type with ARCA. So we could tell the story, right? And so a lot of drag racing, NHRA, NMCA, NMRA, a lot of oval track stuff, NASCAR, ARCA, World of Outlaws, Lucas Oil Late Model, IMCA, and a lot of smaller series too. But we do a lot of different series.
What do you look for when you're selecting a series, or let's say when you're selecting a racer to represent you in one of those series? What do you look for when they send you a deck? What gets your attention?
Yeah, so I mean, we don't work with a lot of individual racers because we're not a brand that's trying to go out there and, get awareness to that fan or that racer. Like our goal is to sell products to racers. So we'll sponsor a series and post contingency, so we can sponsor a lot of racers at once rather than trying to not that we don't work with individual racers. We'll work with, like, if we're trying to break into a new series with a particular product, or we need to prove something out, we need to test it. We'll do that with individual racers. But we do mainly, broad scoping sponsorships. We love sponsoring sanctioning bodies because they give racers a place to race,
Yeah.
and then we have a place to sell products. So, it's hard work to put on events and races. We do some of that ourselves too, so we kind of can appreciate, those sanctioning bodies and how hard they're working to give racers that place to go. And so it's hard for sanctioning bodies to, even especially nowadays, right, with the way things have evolved, sponsorships have changed, sponsorship dollars have changed, so they got to be scrappy, and we're right there in the middle of that too, trying to support them best we can.
So, of the ones that you do sponsor, the series, let's say, or even a team, if there's one that's applicable, what's an example of something that they did that was outstanding? They did a really good job. It's, you're going to renew, you liked it. This is what you wish they would all do. We have a lot of racers on the call who are trying to figure out how to get sponsored, and what impresses sponsors.
Yeah, I mean, on my end, it's like um, staying with each other through thick and thin. I'll talk about you know racers that we need to try out some sort of new product. I'll go back to our fuel injection as an example early on, right? So, like a guy like Chad Henderson, he had a really fast, small tire radial car, and we were, you know, breaking into that market with our newest computer, and he was an early adopter. And so he helped us kind of prove it out, test it out, give us feedback, um, and became just a great friend and partner. And went above and beyond to help us, and then we help him. And late last week we're working with him on a race pack dash now. So that kind of thing where it's kind of a two-way street. It's not like what can you get from Holley and what can Holley get from you. It's kind of we like to build long-term partnerships that sometimes start really small, but just real racers that are, real kind at heart and treat consumers like a representative of our brand. And, we look for racers that can, provide tech support. So Chad became,
There you
for
go.
that example, he became pretty proficient at Holley EFI, and then he could go out and help us support other racers at the tracks he was at because we can't be everywhere.
Right.
So, we look for racers that can help us more than just exposure, a decal on a car or something of that nature, right? What else? What other added value can you do? Will you be out on forums helping us with tech? And are you a good enough dude to help your competitor out there? That's the cool thing about racing. It's always really, that I love about it is real racers just want to race. And
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of racers like with the guy that they're getting ready to meet in the final round, he's broke down and they'll go help him get his car fit back together so they can race. They don't want to just
Nice.
they don't want to hand me give me race. So that's the cool part about racing, and guys that can take our products and learn them and help other racers is super special to us.
That's really cool if they're offering tech support. That's a great way to use a brand ambassador is through tech support.
Yeah. Because there's so much racing going on around the country that we can't be there. We can't be everywhere.
Mhm.
So, if we can help plant seeds and train people, um, train racers, we got a staff of guys that go to races and provide tech support, but they can't be everywhere. There's, tens of thousands of all types of racers.
So just like I was saying, with to teams, you have to be an extension of a company's marketing arm. In this case, you can be an extension of the company's technical support. I like that. What
Yep.
what does a sponsorship at Holley look like? Is it cash? Is it product? Is it marketing? Is it all of the above?
Yeah, I mean, we don't do much cash, and that's just, the nature of us. Like I said, we're here to sell products, and engineer good products, hopefully, and support racers and help them go faster. And so, the best of the best might get a little, product support, more than likely just maybe a discount kind of thing at best. Because we gotta keep selling parts, keep keep making designing new parts, right? So but yeah, it kind of products about probably the best, that we ever even do. Honestly, we just got too many, too many products to be running around promoting all of them with dollars, to put a decal on a car or something like that.
Right. And how do you measure results from your sponsored properties?
So I mean, we'll have in today's day and age, it's easier than ever with people's social media followings, whether that's Instagram or YouTube or whatever they're up to. And we can watch all that from our end and see who's doing what, who's sending clicks our way and that kind of thing.
Are there any examples of, let's say, decks or proposals that made you cringe, or what do you look for when you receive one?
Yeah, never just send me anything that says I'll put a decal on my car. That's the
Right.
worst. Like we get those a lot, right? You know, it's like this, um, just a local racer that says, "I'll put your," because racers see, they just don't know. They just see our decals in a lot of places and think that's
Yeah.
what we want, right?
Yeah.
Well, you know, we like decals, but that's just a part of a bigger program that we typically have with some sort of sanctioning body to try to get those decals on a lot of cars. And so, um, a racer may come from somewhere that we don't have a program with, and they'll just send in going, "Hey, I'll put a decal on my car," you know, and so that's just not going to cut it. Um, but hey, everybody's got to try, right?
So for the young racers who are not that experienced yet, they're just starting out. We had a youth activation session, let's say a really young racer, 17-year-old, and they're familiar with Holley, but maybe not all the brands. How do they learn what the brand wants? How can they understand what your needs are so that if they approach you for representation, they're speaking your language?
I mean, I guess they just need to kind of just watch what other top racers or influencers or whoever it is doing with the brand. You know,
Mm,
my suggestion for super young racers is, I think fans now and younger kids that follow racers and influencers, they just want to follow a real story. Just be real,
yeah.
show them the ups and the downs. They don't expect you to win. In fact, they don't want you to win all the time. They want to like see your trials because they want to get behind you, and root for you through the good and the bad. And like, I think don't paint yourself like always a champion and only when you win and stuff like that. Like, I think you need to show your everyday, make a connection with them to where they feel like they know you, right? Like some of these biggest influencers, um, and many of those are not serious racers, like on YouTube and whatnot, but they're just showing their everyday life and they just amass this following of people that want to just, you know, live through them, right? And just see what see what they're up to. And they get like this connection to that guy. And then when they say, "Hey, I use Holley parts, I put this Holley thing on my car," that's important to us. So, um, I know I kind of spun that a little bit, but that's what I would just, tell a young
No,
person to shoot for.
no, that makes sense. Is there an example of someone who did a really good job representation
I
in a
mean,
series?
I know like, if there's any super serious racers on here, they may kind of cringe at this, but Cletus McFarland's been super cool, we joined up with him when he was like a nobody, and he came to our EFI training classes. We met him at LS Fest, Holly's LS Fest, met him there when he didn't have very
Yeah.
many followers. He became a Holley product, lover, and then he just organically incorporated our stuff into what he does, and now he goes pretty fast now, and he's goofy, but that's his stick. But he's also pretty serious about going racing and winning. So when it's race time, he's racing and has some pretty fast cars at this point. But I would just say that's a pretty cool example of just somebody that's just showing like what I was saying earlier, show the good, show the bad. Hey, I lost because we did this stupid thing,
Yeah.
but we learned from it, right? And then, tomorrow we're going to show you what we're going to do to try to go fix that dumb mistake or whatever. So, um, but that's just, one that pops into my mind.
So if I'm a young racer and I think I'm really good at what I do and I could totally represent the brand, how can I approach Holley? What's the best
I
approach to
mean,
get
so
your
we
attention?
have, you'll see guys at races, but we have an email address, sponsorships@holley.com. Um, and I would tell you to, you know, don't be too wordy. Use bullet points because
True.
we read a lot of this stuff.
How many do you get? How
So
many Dexter proposals do you get? I'm curious.
I couldn't even tell you. Like, I mean, because we're in so many markets, every kind of racing, every kind of street car, every type of hot rod, old modern boats, truck pulling track, you name it, off-road racing.
You're there.
So it's just like kind of like a flood all the time, but just try to break through the clutter. Don't send real wordy stuff because that's just really hard to sift through. Hit your high points with just bullet points, and then just tell us what you can do for us, right? Like what can you bring to the party to help us sell products?
instead of what you need. Yeah.
Yeah.
In 30
Everybody needs
seconds.
something. Every racer needs something. They
Oh,
all
you
want
know
to
it.
go.
Yeah,
They
you
all
know it.
need something. So we'd love to give it all out, but we can't. So that's kind of my my
Give me some
my
last words
bit.
of advice. 30 seconds. What do you got? What do you got to a racer on the call? Anything related to sponsorship doesn't need have to be Holley.
Man, I tell you what, something that strikes me is, a racer that has like an awesome attitude and
Mhm.
is having fun and pushing and doesn't matter if he's winning or losing. That's kind of contagious, right? And I think that's something that sponsors want to be associated with. Is a super positive person.
There we go.
It's going to be a good brand ambassador, fun to be around. Just make sure you're having fun racing. You're not going to win all the time. Most racers aren't. So, go out there, and if you're learning and improving all the time, and that's kind of all you can ask of yourself. And then that kind of is super contagious, right? When you have a I don't give up attitude, that's super cool.
Yeah, that is because it translates to the brand.
Yep.
Bill, thank you. Thank you very much for taking the time today to join
Hey,
us.
glad to
Awesome.
glad to glad to talk to you guys.
Have a good weekend.
All right, see you,
I'll see you.
Alex.
All right, let's queue up JR Tweed, president of K1 RaceGear. JR, you on the call? There he is.
How we
Let's
doing?
see. I'm good. How are you today? I just woke him up. He was taking a nap.
Oh no, let me tell you, we are broadcasting from the back seat of my rental car here in blustery Tulsa, Oklahoma, kicking off
Uh,
the year at the
oh, you're at the Chili
2020.
Bowl.
We're at the Chili Bowl Nationals,
Nice.
sponsored by our friends here at NASA Energy Drink, and yeah, we are going to try to broadcast from inside, but they're running the proverbial Chili Bowl soup today, and it's a little loud. So
Oh,
backseat
the
of the car
eyes will
today, guys.
burn, the nose will burn, your ears will go, they'll buzz. That's a great sensory perception. I mean, if you haven't been to the Chili Bowl, that's a race you will never forget.
It's a bucket list for anybody. I've been coming for 20, 25 years, and it's still one of the top on the list. So
All right, right on. So you and I talked before. You were in the last sponsorship speed dating session, which was amazing. And this is cool because you have a different twist. You don't need exposure. You sell a very specific product to a very specific person. You sell race gear, and the average consumer doesn't need race gear. So let's talk about that real quick. Why do you sponsor, and what do you look for when you sponsor teams?
well, yeah, Alex, and I think it's really important. You and I've discussed, and I hope that people get this across the racers and teams that are in this. Is that most of the community, and even at the top levels, don't understand, maybe just because of education these days, the difference between push pull marketing and niche versus consumer products.
Mm.
So if you were going to, for say, let's use a real world example. What I suggest from racers and teams and marketing directors of these teams is to target the actual manufacturer or company that you're trying to garner sponsorship with, and understand what their model is. I mean, and it's not hard to look out there and see, but without understanding it and sending some generic deck or an introduction and everything, it's hard for us as well to hone in on what it is that you're wanting and how we can help you. One of the most important things is to understand the companies that you're trying to build a relationship with. So understanding those differences, that like we talked before, Monster and Nos and Rockstar and everything, they benefit tremendously from push pull marketing, whereas we're a consumer product, right? We are a niche market in that, you have we have a specialized service of a product that we provide. You should be educated about what that product is.
And you're also talking about leverage of other teams and what the teams can bring to you, mostly through B2B relationships. We talked a lot about that last time. Let's go there.
Yeah, probably one of the biggest things that I tell people in that last question that you asked, Bill, was, what would you say is most important is, do not underestimate, no matter at what level you're at. I've seen some of the people, and you're asking some questions about, I'm new to this. We have a new company. We have a new a racing organization that we're working with. I'm a new marketing director. Do not underestimate the value of your relationships and the leverage that you have. You may not understand it yet, but I'll get to a good example. Alex, you're probably going to ask me this question anyways, is give me an example. I've heard you ask Al and Tony before of somebody who did it well. I'll tell a short story here about a good friend of mine now, wasn't at the time, The sprint car guy out of the Midwest, Brian Brown Racing, got a tremendous individual ownership. You know, that he owns a massive sprint car team, a lot of dollars, runs the World of Outlaws, runs some of the new high limit stuff. You know, when he approached me, his approach was so unique at the time, but it's something that I've seen people start to do more and more. And I highly recommend most people put this in their repertoire. Was he knew what I did, he knew what kind of products I built, and he knew that I had something that could satisfy his needs. Before he asked me for anything, before he sent a deck, before he sent any marketing materials, he met me at a racetrack, which great place. I mean, if that's one of the other questions, let me get ahead of it now. Is, you know, if you can shake hands and look people in the eye, even better, especially consumer product, touch it and feel it. But he came up to me and he said, you know, my name's Brian Brown. Obviously, I knew who he was. And he says, what moves the needle for K1 RaceGear? Fantastic question, right? Okay, that's first right out of the box. You get a guy that actually understands what he's trying to do. And he said, what would do it for you out of my partners that I have? I happened to notice that he had a sticker on his trailer and on his race car from Smiley's Racing Products. And I said, hey, you know, I'm looking for distribution in the Southwest. I know they've got 5, you know, brick and mortar stores, and they've got an online presence. Introduce me to the guys. Within 24 hours at Knoxville Raceway, he brought over Tom Lawrence and Matthew, the head buyer there, brought him to me, introduced him. I have not sponsored this guy. He doesn't even wear my product yet. Introduced me to him. Within 3 days, I had a very large purchase order from these guys before, again, he ever asked me for anything. So my point is, without being too long-winded, is like, you know, really know who you're targeting, do a great job of representing and be genuine, and just don't underestimate the value of what you already have. You may not know you have it.
Are you looking for more sponsored or athletes now? Are you looking to sponsor anybody now?
Every day, the dollars make sense. Let's go. I mean, there's no ceiling on this thing, you know, for brands. I think that, you know, there's often this idea that you can't approach brands that are big and have a huge presence in motorsports. That's not true.
And then when do you make those decisions? What is your sponsorship window?
Window wise, you know, you want to be shortly after PRI in December. You know, if you're talking specifically in North America and the United States, you know, racing is starting earlier and earlier every year. So you want to be, you know, you really want to have your ducks in a row. I know that sometimes that is difficult too, because people don't know what their schedules are before January, February. You get guys in the upper Midwest that don't start till March or April when the snow starts to melt. But man, the early bird gets the worm with us. We've done a pretty good job with our team that we've built and our ambassador program of understanding that, and not sort of, you know, proverbially blowing the whole kitty in the first quarter. But you know, we understand that you know, organizations are starting later, some are doing it earlier, so we try to segment that, and our team does a pretty good job of it.
So you had
but
mentioned,
I would say, but
I was going to say, you had mentioned PRI. Is the PRI a good time to approach you, or are you working at PRI and you don't want to be approached?
No, absolutely not. And that's a good question, Alex. Is that, you know, this goes back to targeting your sponsor, targeting the company you're trying to build a partnership with. You know, if you understand about, and I'll speak pretty freely for most of the people at SEMA and PRI, you know, somebody earlier, I can't remember what it said, is that, you know, we're a consumer and niche market, man. We need to move product. We need to sell product. About 35 to 40% of our revenue generated in the first quarter comes from, in the first and second quarter, comes from PRI. It's a massive amount. So no, I'll be very blunt in that. Don't approach me. You know, you want to come and introduce yourself. Great. Excellent. Come see hi to the team. Take that time to maybe learn about the product and learn about what it is that we're doing. But no, I mean, I have no problem telling somebody, you know, I'll be a little more delicate than I would on here with you, but it's not the time.
When is the time? When is a good time to approach?
The time is short. The time is shortly after you've done your research. You've seen us. You've touched it. You feel that you've met the members of our team. You've seen what we're about. You see the guys that are wearing the stuff, maybe what they're doing. And then, you know, I'll go back to the question. Sorry that I'm stealing questions from other guys, but you know, when you're doing that targeting, one of the greatest things that is, yes, be short and be brief. I like a phone call, an email. A lot of times you're not going to get a hold of me, but if you know, Jacob Brown, who runs my sponsorship program, Kelly Wilmore, who I have, who runs, she's kind of my right hand. If you know well enough, write a letter introducing what it is that you are attempting to do. And then, hey, I plan to submit a sponsorship proposal. Here's our be brief in the thing. That will garner more attention than it will just sending in a deck. You know, again, the question you just previously asked about how many you get. I mean, we get about 33 to 3,400 proposals right off the bat after PRI, you know, with a team of, 15 to 20 people. That's difficult to lead to, right? But if you've got my attention and we can look at it, we certainly will.
Well, I met Jacob at PRI. He was on my panel. We did a networking session. He did really well.
Yeah, Jake's amazing. Good kid.
Yeah. If I wanted to meet him or meet you or meet Kelly or meet someone at K1 RaceGear in order to, throw myself out there for sponsorship, what's a good way to do that?
You're going to find us at the racetrack. I mean, you're going to, this brand was built at the racetrack. It's never going to change. I tell everybody that that I hire, if you can't travel and you don't like to go to the racetrack, you're not going to make it. We sell from the guys in our shipping and receiving all the way to the top to me. I mean, I'm at 25 to 30 races a year. Jacob probably quite a bit more than that. Yeah, I mean, come over, introduce yourself, shake hands, touch and feel the product.
Touch and feel and get to know the person, I guess, in person. Have you ever sponsored somebody just through a deck or a proposal without meeting them?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, if it was worthy to garner the attention, then absolutely. I mean, I've gotten some fantastic proposals without meeting somebody, but they generally had something in them that you and I just spoke about, and in that they had an introduction that was, they were savvy, they were brief and succinct, but they got to the point. They mentioned leverage as something that they might be able to do for my brand. I've got a number of guys that I still haven't met that we do product sponsorship with.
Interesting. So you just said product sponsorship. What does the sponsorship look like at K1 RaceGear?
Yeah, I mean, the majority of our sponsorship is product sponsorship, from levels of discount all the way to full sponsorship. Cash these days, cash is tough. But it's not impossible. Again, I used a little that our friend Brian Deegan's always said, if the dollars make sense, it doesn't matter if it's $5 or $5,000, if you can break it down. I believe it was Tony or maybe Al earlier that had mentioned that they look for a 4 to 5 to 1. We're generally speaking, every dollar we spend is a 5 to 1 ratio proposition. So yeah, I mean, if you've got it and it's you think it's guaranteed money, I often tell Jake, let's take the risk. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't, but we're interested in all of them.
And then what is it that you're looking for from the teams? Clearly you want the introductions, like you had just mentioned. That was a great example. Introduce. If a driver introduces you to the owner of a retail chain that sells race gear, wow, that's a big one. But huge. I'm assuming content, social, what is it that teams can do that create value for K1?
Yeah, I mean, when you start talking about, again, that different level of marketing, your content really needs to be good, or you need to be partners with somebody that it is. Great suggestion too is contacting somebody like yourself or like Megan, for example. I mean, even myself and my team have a hard or difficult time tracking ROI and all the KPIs and everything. There's plenty of companies out there that do just that for you, and they're not all that expensive when you really break down what the return is on that, right? So I would highly suggest that people look into that, look into somebody, develop a relationship with, that can really pin down the I's and the T's and the dollars for you.
That makes a lot of sense. We just have a minute left here. What last words of advice do you have for racers on the call that are looking for sponsorship? Doesn't necessarily have to be from K1 RaceGear. Just we got a lot of people on the call that want money, want partners, and want to race more.
Yeah, certainly, man. Be genuine. Know that we are, be empathetic. We are too, towards each other. Like, this is a tough business anymore. Everybody wants to go racing. It's not getting cheaper. The businesses are not getting easier to run. But understand each other, man. I can't stress that enough, is really understand the companies that you're targeting, do a little bit of research, and be genuine. Like I said, if you want to take that for an example of 3,500 within Q1 of the sponsorship proposals that we get, I mean, if you really think that you're going to be competitive in that market, you really better do something that shines. And it's not a knock against any of them. I mean, you just really, time's money, so understand that. And probably the biggest one that I don't think enough of you guys are looking at that is understanding what leverage is, understanding how much power you may already have on your race car.
And Catherine Reinhardt mentioned that at the very beginnings at one of our part one in the session, talking about alliances, form alliances, and those alliances can help you meet other people. So
I mean, it is right. I mean, it's how you and I met. I mean, it really is just about this is a small community, really. At motorsports in general, growing, but it's still a fairly small in the grand scheme of things. We all know each other. We all know somebody in that, so don't be afraid. I've talked to people before that have been like, man, I just felt kind of weird about that, that I have this sponsorship. I don't know if they want to. We all want to, trust me. Introduce everybody, get a good network going, get a good network of people working together that stem from your program. You got a lot of leverage there.
Well, I tell you, Kelly on your side, she is a networking queen. I don't know anybody who knows more people than her, and she's the one who put us together, and she's connected me with a lot of people. Thank you, Kelly, if you're on the call. What you guys over there, what you're doing over there is amazing. So thank you, JR, for the time today on a Saturday, and enjoy the chili bowl. I'm jealous. I
gotta run. I'm gonna run from here to there. It's about -5 right now, so
that's why you're rubbing your eyes, is all that the fumes. I know
it's cold out here. Yeah, thank you for having us, Alex. Good luck to the rest of you guys.
Cool. Take care, JR. I'll see you.
Thanks, guys.
All right, let's pull up Nate Hunt from Michelin Motorsports, BFGoodrich. Nate works with Jackson Motorsports and represents the biggest brand in off-road. Hey, Nate, where are you local? Are you in SoCal for either? Well, are you in, let's say, West Coast for either Parker 400 or King of Hammers?
So my body's on the East Coast, but
Okay.
my eyes have been on a computer screen watching the Parker 400 and following the Dakar news and following the race out there. So yeah, I'm playing armchair quarterback today.
I tell you, George Hamlet's here helping me on the back end technology. He was at Parker yesterday. He drove all the way out here, 5-hour drive just to help out today. So thank you, George. Before I forget, thank you, George. That's amazing. He was here at 8 o'clock this morning, and I know he was at Parker probably at 6 o'clock last night. So the guy's gotten no sleep, and then heading back to Parker after this. But Nate, real quick, let's go into it with BF.
You better hurry up because Justin's on the third lap. Well, the leaders are on the third lap, so you better hurry.
Uh-oh. So why is BFGoodrich sponsor?
We got to sell product. I really enjoyed the session, and by the way, I wish you should have 350 people watching this, and probably the people who need to be hearing a lot of this stuff aren't on, but I do appreciate every person that has tuned in. I know I've learned a lot today just listening to these other brands and why they go to market and how they go to market. And it's been very interesting, and picked up some, I wouldn't say it's new information, but the way they say it, it's pretty nifty. I like some of the phrases that we've heard today. But no, we're involved in motorsports because we feel it's a great platform to showcase our product. It's a great platform for us to do R&D for future product. And it's a great way to market the product and show off the toughness of the tires, the performance of the tires. And, but yeah, at the end of the day, we're not involved in off-road racing or racing in general to win races or to fund some racers' dreams of driving a race truck. We're there to sell tires. We got to sell product.
Yeah, that actually makes a lot of sense. And I agree. I wish every racer out there would watch these sessions. I think at our height, we had around 92 or 97, about 120 people signed up, but they pop in and out throughout the day. So not everybody's on at the same time. This is recorded, so they will get a copy of the recording, which is nice. And I like to go back and listen too, because every time I listen to the recording, I hear things that I missed when I was in conversation, and I learn something new every single time. I really do. So we got 15 minutes and we only have 10 minutes left, but when you are selecting teams to sponsor, how do you do that?
There's a few factors that we look for when we're looking to help out a race team or an athlete. Obviously performance is a big one for us, more so than exposure. That's why I found it valuable listening to the Coca-Cola and the DeWalt guys talking. Everybody knows who Coca-Cola is, and in off-road racing, everybody knows who BFGoodrich tires is. So the branding isn't or the exposure isn't the top priority. It's still something that we need to do, but we're looking for somebody that can elevate our brand, who can bring authenticity to the brand. We talked about on the last summit that we did with Rob McCackern and the long-term relationship with a guy like him. And I mean, who's better to have on your team than one of the greatest, if not the greatest, off-road racer in history? And
30-year sponsorship to boot.
30
years, 3 decades.
Yeah. So yeah, we're looking for, and I don't want to make this all about Rob, but Rob really sets the example of not just on track, but off the track. And that's one thing that we appreciate about him, is he's always a professional. Even when he's mad, he's still professional. And yeah, we can get pulled off to the side and he can blow up a little bit, but in front of the cameras, in front of media, in front of anybody that is paying attention, he's always a consummate professional. And one thing I appreciate about Rob is he takes the time to do the little things. And I was listening to the one gentleman earlier, I can't remember his name, but he was talking about just do the little things. I think he talked about answering the phone as one example, but just the little things. I've never had to say, hey, Rob, you forgot a decal on your car. You don't have BFGoodrich on your suit, or you didn't mention BFGoodrich on the podium when you were talking on the camera. He does all those little things, and I think that's probably the biggest frustration, or one of the frustrations, as somebody who is involved in the sponsorship world, is wasting time doing and talking and chasing down the little things that the racers need to be doing. And so yeah, anybody listening, I would say, do those little things. Don't forget them, because they are important. And a lot of them are probably in your contract. And one of the worst things I hate doing is pulling up a contract and say, hey, you owed us this and you didn't deliver. So deliver on the things that you say you're going to deliver on.
Yeah. You know, it's funny, you bring up an interesting point. This is a slight tangent. I'll only spend a few seconds on it, but I'm seriously considering doing sponsorship training for companies to help train their athletes on what they're looking for from that representation. Not unsponsored racers, but racers who are already sponsored. And it came because the marketing director was mentioning this. He's like, I really want you to come in and talk to my teams so that you can make them more effective. And I'm seriously thinking of doing that. I'll get a hold of you and ask you some of the things that are your pet peeves, because I think it could really incorporate into that quite well.
Yeah, I think that could be valuable. I also, one of the points I wanted to bring up too, and it's been mentioned a lot today, is the racers, the guys, people asking for sponsorships, they need to do the work. They need to do a lot more work, that especially in the off-road world, and in grassroots racing, and a lot of these racers they own companies, or their dad owns companies, or the family they have money. They're involved in racing, and so what's on the forefront of their mind isn't always racing. So we understand that, but at the same time, if you're asking a company for something, do your homework, do the work. I shouldn't have to explain everything about BFGoodrich tires. Hopefully somebody's coming to me and saying, hey, I noticed this about BFG when I was researching it, or talking to people about it. So yeah, a lot of it still needs to be on the racers, but I don't think it's a bad idea to also talk to the marketers themselves.
Let me ask this question, because it has been brought up about do your research, do your homework, study the company. We all have Google, and now there's even ChatGPT, which can provide some interesting answers, but Google's not always accurate. And sometimes you can get sucked down the rabbit hole and it takes you places, and, it can be overwhelming. If I wanted to learn more about what your objectives are, so I can be sponsored by you by showing you that I can help you fill those objectives, what's a good way to do that? Let's say, other than Google.
Sure. Obviously, we have websites. There's BFGoodrich Tires websites, and you can go and see where their marketing campaigns are being done and the directions they're going. But we also have a BFGoodrich Racing page that you can go to and see the direction that BFGoodrich is going on their websites, and in the different areas that they're going. Our social media platform, You can see a lot of stuff on there. And that goes for a lot of companies. You can go to social media and see what they're pushing, and you can say, wow, that aligns with what I'm doing, and I could help this or help elevate it. Or if I'm not doing it, start doing it. So I think there's a lot of ways other than just typing into Google to research and find out. But specifically for BF Goodrich, I think it's pretty straightforward following those different avenues to find out what direction the brand's going.
Yeah, and JR was also saying, just look at the website, and or somebody said that. I don't know if it's JR. You can sometimes learn about a brand by doing your homework. It's pretty easy, If I wanted to approach BFG, what's the best way to do it?
Oh, there's a couple ways. I'm blessed to be able to go to a lot of the races. So there's usually some type of BF Goodrich representation at the races. Obviously this weekend at Parker, not, but at Dakar, there is BFG representatives there. So on site, I find is the most valuable just because I'm a face-to-face person.
Yeah.
A phone call, an email, text message, those are thousands of those, but the face-to-face is what really sticks, because I don't want to just see, I don't want to look up a racer and just look at their social media platform, because I think we all know, if you don't, shame on you, but we all know social media can be very fake. And I want to know the real person. I want to know the real athlete. I want to know the real team. I want to know what drives them. I want to know how professional they are in the pits and around other racers, and with sanctioning bodies. So I like the face-to-face. If you aren't able to do the face-to-face, there's always 1-800-RACE-BFG is a really well-known phone number to call, and you can find out who to contact and who makes the most sense for you to talk to. And then I believe there's also a way to contact through the website. But I would say if you're somebody that BF Goodrich is looking to sponsor, we probably already know you. And if we don't, you should be able to know how to find us, because we're at the places that we're interested in sponsoring racers within that market.
Have you ever sponsored a team you didn't meet? Just somebody sent you a deck? And I'm curious how many decks. JR said he's in the 3,000s in terms of an annual, how many decks that they get on an annual basis. That's a quarter, 3,000 and a quarter. Whoa. That's even more than I thought. Have you ever sponsored somebody from a deck, or do you have to know them?
Man, that's tough. I would say maybe earlier there may have been some cases, but because we are so hands-on, that's one thing I appreciate about the BF Goodrich brand is we don't just send a bunch of money or tires or product out and just say go do it. We're on site. We're hands-on. We have a technical person there who is helping with pressure recommendations and which type of tire. And that's one thing BF Goodrich provides is an array of different products that you can use. And so it's not just as simple as here's a 40-inch tire. There's different versions of that. So we have people on site. So, I wouldn't say that we sponsor someone that we don't know, because I'm pretty sure we would know them if they hit the levels that we're looking for to be a sponsored racer.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. They got to be winning races or visible or representing themselves in a way that's going to draw attention, which means that a sponsor that's associated with that driver is also going to get the attention. If a racer is not getting attention,
I don't downplay the sending the decks though, because we don't know everybody. But use that maybe as just a, hey, here's my deck and I'd love to meet you. I'll be at blah, blah, blah race. Will you be there? Let's meet up. Take it a little more than just saying, here's my deck, sponsor me.
Are you looking for any more teams now? And if so, what can a team do to approach you and attract your attention?
Yeah, we're always looking for teams. Right now, we are doing a lot of contingency-based type sponsorships. So the people that are having success in earning those tires, then we're doing that. But yeah, we're always looking. We're looking for somebody new, somebody coming in. There may be somebody that was racing in a different field. I know that there's been some motocross racers that have started coming in and racing in off-road, get a cage around them. I believe there was a gentleman earlier who was a motocross racer and then got into drag racing. So yeah, we're always looking for the next. We're looking for the future, and trying to do the best that we can at the time too. So yeah, we're always looking.
Cool. So final question, what's your cell phone, email address, and home address? No. Thanks, Nate. I appreciate it, man.
If you want it, you probably know how to get it.
Exactly. Hey, thank you. I'll see you out in Johnson Valley in a week or so.
All right. Sounds good. Thanks, Alex.
All right. Take care. Bye, Nate.
Bye.